I go through these cycles of like month to month.
A fracture within the Ricky core now.
Unbelievable.
I haven't had a clean face, shaven face in like 2-3 months. It's always been some hybrid of a mustache or something like that. So
great time to do it. See,
it makes yours pop more. But you're
all right. That I'll accept.
You're here by yourself.
Mike looks
I'm dog sitting, so there's a chance that there's some shenanigans in the background. Just a heads up.
With the mustache, Mike looks like the IKEA comedian guy.
The IKEA comedian.
The guy's like, customer came in, wanted to know what time we close, and then the music plays, and he's like, "I'll tell you what time we close."
The TikTok guy.
Yeah.
I don't know it, but I'm gonna choose to be offended.
Yeah. No. I think it's same shape head and same color, and he's got a mustache. So,
I had dinner with John Gonzalez last night, and he said he liked it and wants me to keep it. So I don't think it's definitely not a forever thing, but it's I don't know. What else is there to do? It's the off season.
The thing I was noticing about CJ is that most times when people have facial hair, it makes them look older. But CJ just sort of looks like a kid wearing facial hair.
Mike, do you have opinions on your resemblance with this man?
Yeah, I was right to be offended.
Well, I don't think you look like, but it's the same. There's a similar vibe going on here. Do we not think?
I mean, definitely not. Maybe visually, but definitely not.
Yes.
Vibrations wise.
No,
Me and him do not share the kind of people we strive to be.
No, well,
I'm not out here making front-facing videos.
Right.
I guess I'm facing the front of the video right now, but I wouldn't describe this as a front-facing video.
Okay.
I think it's the first time ever drinking coffee on the podcast. I don't know why that's never happened.
Well, you've eaten eggs before, so
yeah.
It seems like a backward
I would do it
step
again.
for you.
I thought about it. I thought about eating a banana during the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't want to give people the opportunity.
You don't want to sex them up like that.
No, I couldn't sex them up like that.
You think I look younger with facial hair?
Yeah, you sort of look like a little kid in a big suit with the facial hair.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't mean that insulting. I'm just saying that I don't think for a while when I had facial hair, now that I'm old, it doesn't matter. Like I looked much younger when I didn't. I don't think you look much younger without the facial hair. I think you look the same in terms of age.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I'll take
that. Right. Here we go. Man, think how close we were to Mike sexing everyone up on this front-facing pod. I'll eat a banana.
God forbid.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS and brought to you by Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. Big Barker dog beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged, and Kinetic Skateboarding. Get 9.1% off your first order with promo code Dave Silver. On today's show, we finish grading all of Daryl Morey's moves as president of basketball operations of the Philadelphia 76ers. Jay Harden wine officially comes out, and the internet is abuzz. Speaking of James Harden, he threw a cake off a boat, supposedly. We will dive deeper into that, a mystery we need to solve in that. James Harden also gifted $250,000 in cash from one of his friends. We do have one mystery we need to solve about the Korkmaz hype video, which we did not talk about last time, and we get to the mailbag. I did mention Kinetic Skateboarding, and I mention all the time with Kinetic Skateboarding that they have sneakers there that you're not going to get anywhere else. They have a raffle going today. You have to go apply. You have to enter in store at Kinetic to the Faust Nike SB Dunk Highs, which are pretty fucking sweet looking. I would look like a poser wearing them, but they are pretty fucking sweet. You can see them on the Kinetic Instagram and Twitter right now. You can go and enter the raffle in person today or tomorrow at the shop, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Anything else? Oh, and if you order anything online in Kinetic, use code DaveSilver for 9.1% off your first order. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with the only guy on this pod who currently has a mustache. That is one Mike Levin, one of one.
One of one. We are getting through August.
Yeah.
We're doing it. I'm realizing now, hang on. It's either my parents' anniversary today or tomorrow. I always forget.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Happy anniversary, my parents. Tomorrow.
Would you like to, obviously, the very beginning of the pod won't be on the, happy anniversary. The very beginning of the pod won't be on the pod for the listeners and viewers on Spotify and Apple and all those. And the mustache controversy, and that CJ had a mustache, you came in wearing a mustache, and then
extremely
CJ
targeted.
had this. What's that?
Extremely targeted for him to take off the mustache.
Yeah. Well, he had that shit-eating grin when he noticed what was going on. And I want to give you a chance, Mike, to, if you want to make a public statement regarding this sort of disrespect that came from our producer, who maybe is a little too big for his britches right now, I think is possible.
One of the hosts decides, I'll match. I'll meet you there on your level. And for one glorious podcast, that's what we did. And to rob me of that right away.
Yeah.
Extremely rude. I'll talk about that in therapy. It's very weird. I do
what a flex.
Video therapy. So this is also where I sit for therapy. So this is really there's nothing different. And I talk about the same stuff. I'm going to talk about CJ this time. Fine.
Indecipherable what you're saying, right? So, as we mentioned in the intro, it was not only the J. Harden Wines release date on August 26th, it was James Harden's birthday. Happy birthday, James Harden. Now, Mike, before we get into this, because I had mentioned, I think a few pods ago, that it was Ben Simmons' birthday, and he spent a week, celebrating his birthday on Instagram, and now James Harden's birthday. I don't take you for a birthday guy. At what point, I could be wrong, but that's my guess. At what point is it like, okay, enough with your own birthday? I mean, isn't it like 17? These guys in their 30s with the big birthday party? I mean,
well, it's certainly under Michael Rubin's 50th.
That's for sure.
Certainly sub that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm a big birthday guy. There were years where I didn't do anything at all. And then I'm like, why am I doing that? Should I try it? And then have little parties or like a meal or meet at a bar or something like that. Nothing huge.
Mm-hmm. Is James Harden too old to be having birthday parties? Do you think? Is he 33?
He's 33. He's a couple months older than me.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm fine with it. If it was during the season, I might be like, it might feel longer. But because it's the off season, what else are they gonna do?
He's got nothing to do.
I don't know what's the difference between birthday party and just like generally we're having a white party.
Right. So that actually, before we get to the cake, is something that Tom mentioned in the chat, but also we got an email about from Tim. Hey, Spike and Mike, what on earth is the deal with white parties happening this offseason? Is this a normal amount of full white parties to have, or is it the only thing these guys are wearing is white off-season clothes? Seems like too many to me. What do you think?
It's a lot of white. It feels very much, like fashion is going back to like the early 2000s.
Okay.
Y2K era stuff, sometimes for good, sometimes for very bad. And I feel like white party is of that era as well. It just seems a real blast from the past, and everybody's doing it now. I said it before, but like the early seasons of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Kyle Richards always had a white party to match Diddy's white party at her own place. Obviously very different clientele there. It feels bizarre. It feels antiquated. And it feels like once you do one, like you're going to do another. Pick a different color.
Right. Have an orange party.
Have a tie-dye party.
Oh, a tie-dye party would be great.
I just feel like I would spill so easily at a white party. Immediately.
You can only wear it once. Do you think that's part of it, is showing off the, like,
how good they are at not spilling?
Well, that, or I know I'm going to spill something on it. I'm never going to wear these clothes again. I don't even care. I have so much money. I can buy another white outfit.
Well, I mean, but why make everybody else wear white also? All my friends are so good at not spilling that we could have a whole party of white. Everybody be clean as silk afterwards.
We have the ability. We're going to fly. The process is going to happen. We'll announce it on the Wednesday pod. But I'm wondering if everyone should wear the same color and have it not be white. Maybe as a stand against white parties. A tie-dye party. That could be. I don't know. Think of a color. Anyway, James Harden went viral, as it were, twice with his birthday. The first is this video of him seemingly throwing his birthday cake into the ocean. CJ,
I have not seen this.
Okay. Now, the thing that it's a hilarious video.
It's very funny.
Yeah. It's not a real cake.
I don't think so either. The constitution of the cake holds together too much for it to be.
Yeah. Anyone who's had a cake, I've had a wedding cake, they don't stay together like that if you put them on their side.
Well, unless it's like partially cake,
Right. Well, and the other, like just maybe the bottom is cake and the top is styrofoam or something. The other thing,
or the firmness of it is like there's cake around, or like at least frosting.
That is not a real cake.
Like I don't think it's full real cake.
It's also too light to be full real cake. Well, if that was full real cake, it would be heavier than it seems.
He's very strong. That I don't know.
It's not a real cake. I'm sorry. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I know you're saying it could be some cake. It's not 0% cake.
No parts cake
is my prediction. It's 0 parts cake. So here's
remember those videos from a couple years ago where people would cut into things and it'd be like, oh, it's cake. Turns out to that. I like it better if it's just throwing things out of boats. Was that cake? It's gone now. It's in the ocean.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
And by the way, the cake was white as well, just so we're on the same page. So then here's the other thing.
The assignment.
Yeah. So here's the other thing. I have not listened to this, and I haven't even watched it. But if you remember correctly, I think it was Lil Baby. Was it Lil Baby that? I guess it's Lil Baby. Was it Lil Baby that James Harden gave a bunch of money to for his birthday? I think James Harden gave like $100,000 or something to his birthday. Anyway, there's a video, here it is, of Lil Baby giving James Harden a birthday present. So here we go.
Dimes. Could be dimes. Could be pennies. You hear the quarters? No, you ain't no quarters. How you open this motherfucker up? I ain't got one of these. Yeah, I know you don't. You not be in your closet. Man, what?
There it is.
Hold up, babe.
Bundles of cash.
Hold up, babe. You got no quarter though. Hold up, babe.
So there's a bunch of quarters and also $250,000 in cash. Now Harden is counting it like he's in Goodfellas or something.
Now he's like a waiter carrying.
Yeah, there you go.
Look, so, I at first I thought it was kind of ridiculous. It was like, okay, these rich people are just like trading gifts of $100,000, but like, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that they could just open up like a compartment and there's just, bond level stacks of, a lot of fucking money in there. That's got to be a cool feeling.
So do they do it for the gram and then he gives him the $250,000 back? Or do you think Harden actually keeps the $250,000? And in that case, just a follow-up, this is now public. I assume he would have to declare this on his taxes because this is larger than the gift amount you can receive. And it's James Harden.
By quite a bit, I think.
Yeah.
I was wondering if Harden was like, oh, great, this will pay for all of my friends' white shirts for the next party.
Right. There's that too. And is it possible that the Sixers are funneling cash through Lil Baby?
And this is where we are. Yeah. And when he opens Michael Rubin's gift, it's just $15 million in t-shirts. It's simply $15 million in t-shirts. And I think that's fine and legal. And friends are allowed to give friends $15 million in t-shirts on a boat wearing all white. Mm-hmm. I don't see anything wrong with that. And I think if Adam Silver does, he's a fucking loser. He can go fucking touch grass.
Before we get to James Harden wines, but here's somebody who could figure out whether what the legalities of this are, is Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. I got this email from Andy. Just wanted to send a note about my recent experience with Adam from Kornblau and Kornblau. My wife and I recently had a real estate issue. We didn't know who to reach out to. While fully knowing this wasn't his expertise, I still wanted the opinion of legal counsel, so I emailed Adam Sunday night at 7:45. Fully expecting to hear him Monday morning or later in the day, I was surprised when I received a call back from him 14 minutes later. Adam and I talked about my situation. He gave me guidance and how I should proceed. I can't tell you how reassuring it was to my wife and I to receive advice from him and get the opinion of an attorney of how to handle this situation. Thank you to Adam and the pod for helping a fellow Ricky listener. Kornblau and Kornblau, real estate law, not his specialty. Personal injury specialist. Specialist, him and his mom. Personal injury specialist, Kornblau and Kornblau, but they'll help you with anything because he's a friend of the pod.
Commissioners of leagues for fraudulent investigations.
Right.
Give him a call.
Definite fraudulent investigations. And also nothing wrong with the Lil Baby gifting. There's no way that's connected to the team at all. Kornblau and Kornblau have been there 4 decades, started by Adam's parents. Now Adam runs it with his mom. They are the premier boutique personal injury law firm. And the reason I say boutique is because it's the right size, right? You're not calling a referral service. You're actually getting Kornblau and Kornblau. And they are obsessed, actually, with getting you the best result that anyone can get you, whether it's medical malpractice, which they are expert in, slip and fall, injured at work, any of those things. If you've been hurt in a way like that and you need counsel, Kornblau and Kornblau is who you reach out to. Or if you're having a problem with your landlord, it's also Kornblau and Kornblau. If you think you might have a case, give him a call, shoot him an email. It doesn't cost you anything, and he gets to you within 14 minutes. 215-576-7200, ask for Adam. That is 215-576-7200, ask for Adam. Or email Kornblau, Kornblau, at kornblauandkornblau.com. Spell out the and. Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. Kornblau texted me when we were talking about the Ben Simmons settlement and why perhaps they cannot talk about it publicly and the issues with those sorts of legal agreements. And I told him, Kornblau, you're full of shit. It's definitely going to leak. And he was like, it's not going to leak. And I'm like, it's going to leak. So speaking of James Harden, I wonder too, Daryl Morey posted happy birthday to James Harden and said that he bought a few bottles of his wine. Is Daryl Morey buying James Harden's wine circumventing the salary cap?
Yes, $15 million in blends. All of it. This is all fine. This is all what friends
bottles,
do for each other.
Daryl? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a few bottles? I want to see that. So
Smash cut to the Sixers practice facility where it's entirely filled up with wines.
James Harden.
We had to buy them all. We didn't know where to put it.
That's what
PCOM is now housing.
It's
just Harden's blends to make up for Harden taking a pay cut.
So we were supposed to get a bottle of this on the release day. I want to mention to the PR person who is listening, I'm sure, I don't see any fucking James Harden wine. I went and I had to order it. You said you were going to do this, not even a sponsor of the pod. We were going to do this for you. I was going to drink it on the pod. There were 2 emails the first day. So there's the email release, and it goes, you can buy it. Here's the link. And the second email came, and it said, just in case that link wasn't working, you can try this other link. I know you'll love it as much as I do. So 2 emails, one with the broken link. Now, he mentioned it was going to be $15. It is $18.99, which is fine. It's close. There is $15 in shipping, and then another $10 in ice packs. So that comes out to $46 for the $18 bottle of wine. And it's not available in stores anywhere, from what I can tell. So, but I did order it, and we will try it here on the pod. So any final thoughts about J. Harden wines?
Why ice packs? Do you need to ship
Well, it said
red wines cold?
It says we recommend adding ice packs to your wine order if you are shipping to a warm location. And it could be 95 degrees outside. It could be sitting on my front step all afternoon.
Yeah, it's August. What isn't a warm location?
Right. So, that's, I wouldn't drink it cold, but I assume that, this was the right thing to do. It obviously you don't want to drink it cold, but they do have to be kept at a certain temperature, right? That's what wine fridges are for. So
hot wines. There could be a market for hot wine.
Sounds
Piping
disgusting.
hot wines. Yeah. Drink it's hot. Microwave it. Keep it hot.
J. Harden wines. How much could he possibly this is such a strange endorsement for me because it can't pay him anything of significance. They can't sell that much wine. Is he just doing it because it's cool? I mean, I guess we do a lot of stuff because it seems fun, As Maggie Gray, who I work with and is also on the James Harden wine mailing list, noted, she was like, the picture of him that they advertise with, he's not even holding the wine. Like, it's obviously a picture from a different photo shoot that they match up with the wine. I just wonder what his commitment is to this wine, I think, long term.
I don't know why anyone does anything. I'm finding.
Okay. So, and CJ, you might want to get this video for the Korkmaz thing, because I know you can't put up still images that I posted here. So on the last pod, we talked about Furkan Korkmaz's 2022 hype video, which somebody on the YouTube comments correctly noted that it seemed like a hype video for his coach a little bit more than it was for Korkmaz. Sure. But there was something that happened.
Or his production company.
Correct. Or his production company. Maybe he will, we mentioned Doc's coma call to you about Furk or Thibault. Maybe he is creeping into Thibault's vlog space.
Could be.
Yeah, you never know.
I don't know who the editor is for Young Rock Season 3. I could put a word in for Korkmaz. See, nice
So
guy.
at the end of this 1 minute video, the word possible comes up on the screen. Now, I guess I could understand why you would use the word possible. I guess anything is possible, blah, 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 blah.
I mean, those S's are 5s.
So there we are. And the I is a 1. That's a 1. So what does 551 mean in the middle of possible?
Is that an area code?
He's from Turkey.
Jersey City.
Oh, maybe he's coming up into my neck of the woods up here?
Could be a Brooklyn type trade on the horizon.
What is it? Why is it 551? Even if it's just 55, why is it 55? His number's not 55. Is he switching to 55?
That'd be weird. I don't know. Sometimes people just like a fun font. And when they're like trying to find it, they're like, too normal. Let's get spooky.
Oh, so it's just a font that they found.
Yeah. I feel like Papyrus got roundly made fun of for enough years where people wouldn't, at least if they're semi-online, they wouldn't do that. But I think now, like, letters
Papyrus a
missing
font?
parts of Papyrus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, I
You
didn't know.
recognize
Okay.
it. Come on.
Okay. All right.
Look, Google Papyrus font as I'm talking.
Okay.
You've seen it's definitely in everything in like 2004 to 2006.
Isn't that the same font?
Movie from the past, like set in like Greek Roman times. It's like
Isn't
and it's
the
papyrus.
book The Alchemist? Isn't the front in papyrus? I'm gonna look it up.
But I think the new papyrus is just like letters that aren't quite connected. It's just like you have to really like concentrate to know what the word is. And I think the idea
There you go.
is just to know what the word should be,
Right.
and not sort of hide the
wonder
ball of is this a B? I don't know. Keep looking.
Is it a 5? What are we doing here? All right. We started grading all of Daryl Morey's moves as Sixers president of basketball operations. We are up to August 6th, 2021, where he signed George Niang. I forget what the numbers were.
It was like $3 million.
I thought it was a little more than that. Let's see.
It was like
You're
between
right.
3 and 4.
$3.5 million. 2 years, $6.7 million. I would grade this as a B+. I think Niang has been perfectly helpful. The only fault with Niang is that he's too important, but that's not his fault.
Totally. I think it's totally fine. I think it's the perfect kind of backup to Tobias, where you want somebody that's just going to come in and hoist. He got very cold at an unfortunate time in the season. I think people talked about his knee not being right, so his defense, which was already, I made a strong claim that he would be able to be fine defensively, and it didn't turn out that way.
No.
I am hopeful that he can, because he has moxie and toughness, and he's a lunatic. So I believe if he's healthier, then he would be able to perform, but he's definitely a disadvantage because of his athletic traits and body shape and everything. But for that small contract, totally fine. B+, solid contributor, seems like good for vibes, all that stuff.
Then he re-signed Danny Green to a 2-year, $20 million salary, or 2-year, $20 million deal. The second year, I think, not guaranteed, right? At all. I would honestly, I would give this deal an A- or a B+. I mean, they needed to keep him. He was valuable. The contract ended up being valuable trade-wise. Like I see no problems with this.
Yeah, we talked about this at the time, that like the Sixers, it's seemingly for a really long time, just haven't had these kind of
$10 million deals.
Yeah, those kinds of like mid-level contracts to trade, to like stack on. It's just been Tobias level, or you have to pile like 4 rookie deals onto something to add into something. And I think this was a reaction. They needed Danny. Danny was great for the team, especially when Matisse didn't get better. And I think it was like sort of a reaction to, well, we let George Hill walk, so we can't let Danny walk also. And it was great. Sucks that Danny got hurt. Would have been a different story if he hadn't. But
he was great for them.
But he was
great.
Solid.
Yeah. He signed Furkan Korkmaz to a 3-year, $15 million contract.
Still can't believe somebody didn't give him more money.
Yeah, but you were talking about 12.
I was talking about 12. I mean, Duncan Robinson got so much and then he got benched. So maybe somewhere in between is the right answer. Maybe somewhere in between what Korkmaz got and what Duncan got.
I mean,
is the right answer.
This has got to be a C. I had no problem with the deal at the time, but there's certainly wait and see whether, it's not harmful. I guess it's only $5 million a year, but he was fucking terrible last year. Like he was borderline. He was like unplayable.
He had a bad year. He had a very bad year. It's interesting. The 3 years was always interesting to me because role players so often just get the 1 or the 2. And so giving him 3 was a level of commitment that you don't really see 9th, 10th, 11th men on the roster get. So maybe that factored in okay, one of these years he's going to shoot like 29% from three, and we can withstand that. And if he has a, high 30s, even, crazy variance shooting year where he's in the low 40s or something, then that becomes a great contract. It's such a, he has not been a consistent enough shooter for his career, but that's kind of what shooting is when you're not at the highest level, is like some years are going to be good, some years are going to be total trash. And
I think Danny Green even shot like 31% one year, if I remember correctly.
For sure.
Yeah.
Totally. Happens. But he needs to be better, or this contract is, it's not money-wise that much, but it's a roster spot that you could have someone that, if he's not hitting shots, like he can't be allowed in the gym. He has to hit shots.
The next are several 10 days and 2 ways. They go to Grant Riller, Shaq Harrison, Braxton Key, Jared Brownridge, Miles Powell, Tyler
That was assembling
Johnson.
the summer league team, right?
Right. But then no. That was in October. I wonder.
So this is training camp.
Yeah. Then we don't see anything until December, when we see Miles Powell, Tyler Johnson, Charlie Brown Jr., Braxton Key, and then Charlie Brown
Johnson
Jr.
Era.
Yeah. Well, he got COVID. It was. I'm very confident he would have stayed on the team if he had not gotten COVID. But he got COVID. He couldn't play. It was great that he ended up being a Sixer. A+ for that. Nothing really else. I mean, we haven't seen anything out of anybody. Your Charlie Brown era for you is over, I believe you've said. So,
yeah, I mean, he had an okay summer league. Summer league. Yeah, you keep waiting for and maybe it's just like it's B-Ball Paul. You keep waiting for the diamond in the rough guy,
right?
That Daryl's gonna find from Europe or random place, whatever. And it seems like we haven't quite got there. I want to believe and do believe, hence the believing that there's a condensing trade happening soon, that it is current 16th man on the roster.
For weeks. This is a big prediction for you.
I know. Current 16th man on the roster, get ready to use the button. Trevelyan Queen. I want to believe that, like, making him into a very useful, occasional, like, 10th, whatever, 11th guy on the roster is like, oh, wow, this guy came from, he's 26. He came from New Mexico State, G League MVP when he was, like, older, like that kind of thing. I wanted to believe that it's him, but until, I think B-Ball Paul's probably, enough to say that that's who it is, but I want more. I'm greedy. I want it to be him.
I have a gut feeling on Trevelyan Queen that he's not going to be on the team.
That would be the opposite of what I said.
Yeah. My gut, we keep playing the Trevelyan Queen thing, and I don't know. I feel like Morey's lack of endorsement online of the Trevelyan Queen song is a signal that he's not going to make the team. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have to look for tea leaf reading comes from a lot of different places, and one of them
sometimes it comes from centering us in the the Sixers roster decisions.
Well, whatever. I got an email from Nick. Hey, Spike, Mike, and CJ, I just want to send in a good word about Big Barker. I just got one for my parents' dog, Rocky. He immediately loved it. He's a yellow lab who's getting older and starting to have some joint issues. After hearing you guys pushing Big Barker for years, I finally decided to get one after our vet mentioned that some of Rocky's sleeplessness and overall lethargy might be from arthritis pain. Just wanted to send a shout out for such a great product and to say that listeners, it's never too late. Even if your dog is older, our pets deserve the best. Keep up what you do. That was from Nick, and very true. I actually heard from WIP's Joe Giglio this week that he was getting his dog a Big Barker. His dog is 10, and we sent one to Matt Quinn from Mount Joy from his dog as well. Look, Big Barker is the only true real dog bed on the market. Go to bigbarker.com/Ricky. bigbarker.com/Ricky. If you go there, not only do you get the Big Barker, which will keep your dog healthier, legitimately keep your dog healthier, not bullshit, you will get the Process Pup patches. And then you will send us a picture of your dog on the Big Barker with the Process Pup patches. We put them in the gallery. As that email said, as dogs get older, arthritis becomes a thing. Dogs, jump, run all over that stuff. They're hard on their joints. And when they're sleeping, they need to be supported correctly. Big Barker is the only dog bed engineered by experts to support your dog's joints. Your only job is to make sure that dog has the happiest, healthiest life possible. They give you love. They let you pick up their poop. You give them a good bed. bigbarker.com/Ricky. 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. 1-year at-home trial. If you don't like it, if your dog doesn't like it, they will give you a full refund and they'll even pay for the shipping. Handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog beds.
Bark, bark.
All right.
I will say also, you mentioning Mountjoy.
Yeah.
For CJ to, after I totally stiffed Mountjoy.
You did.
Matt comes on the podcast, invites me to the show.
Yep.
I say, yeah, I'll come. And then I fucking don't show up to prove a point for my boy CJ. And he goes and pulls a double cross on me.
Yep.
And takes away the mustache immediately.
Yep.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
And I want CJ to pop on the camera right now with a full mustache. He has grown it in the half hour we've been doing this podcast.
I don't think
if he hasn't, I'm still hurt.
I see him in the shadow window.
Oh, right. You can see him when I can't see him.
Yeah,
is he growing
doesn't.
It?
No.
Is he a fake one?
No, he looks exactly the same as he looked before the pod. I think the question is whether Matt from Mountjoy. Now, when's that show at the Man? Is it the 10th, I believe, of September? I was actually thinking of going down for that. The question is, does Matt from Mountjoy, even though he got stiffed by Mike, go on to Mike's side here and stiff CJ again and his friend group?
The chain of stiffing. I think he should. Matt, tell TJ, take CJ off the list again. And his fucking friends. And the friend group, I blame them as well.
Yep. February 10th, 2022. The Sixers traded Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, Ben Simmons, a 2022 first-round pick, and a 2027 first-round pick to the Brooklyn Nets for James Harden and Paul Millsap. Philadelphia also received a trade exception, yada, yada, yada. I am going to give this trade a C+.
I mean, it's obviously a very complicated trade.
Yes, there's a lot of different levels to it.
Right. I think that is disingenuous of you to give it a C+, because you at that point didn't think that Ben Simmons had any value whatsoever. And the fact that they got him for 2 probably mediocre picks, guys that were not playable. We don't know if the
2027 pick will be mediocre.
Sure. One pick far off into the distance, one that wasn't very good or won't be very good. And they got, even though he wasn't, especially in the playoffs, as good as we needed him to be, still James fucking Harden for a guy that wasn't playing at all. And that you believe may never play basketball again. And so I think that is I think that you have.
I didn't give it a D.
No, I know. I know.
But like they may have just. But here's my argument to the contrary. Like this could have been avoided by not letting it get to this point. That's all I'm saying. And I think
in what way?
Well, it was, at least to me, it was more than obvious that like Simmons in Philadelphia was not going to work out. And like
after the Hawks series, you mean?
No, before. I mean, that whole like I know we argued over it and I don't want to like rehash it, but like to my eyes, it was pretty clear that it was not going to work. And like I think I told Daryl Morey myself like that was not going to work. And I think his style of pushing things to see, to like, you'll get a better deal if you wait a little bit. Like, don't overpay here. You'll get a better deal later on. All that stuff. A lot of times it works, but sometimes it doesn't. And like, it just didn't work on this one. You probably missed out on the last great year James Harden may ever have, only to like make the same trade a year and a half later for like a worse James Harden that you're going to have to pay just as much money to eventually. So I agree.
I think that had Brooklyn
value.
Had Houston done the Sixers offer, it would have cost more than what they traded to Brooklyn for.
Right, but you would have gotten a year. Who knows what the path of James Harden is at that point? And you get a year, by the way, where he looked like an MVP for a good part of the year. I'm not saying it's a failure. It isn't a failure. And what you said is true. I thought Simmons's value was kaput, but also it also speaks to what James Harden's value was at the time too, in that I don't know how many offers there were even for James Harden. It was like a trade that everyone had to make. I don't think it's an F, but I also don't think it's an A. Like I think it's a.
I think it wasn't like there was a Harden bidding war in the way that there presumably was a, unsatisfying one for Durant right now or for Donovan Mitchell or whatever. I think that was Harden in the middle of the season was like, trade me to Philadelphia.
Right.
And it was that was the edict, and this is like, and then they came down of like, well, let's get what we can get.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it was like Brooklyn going like, we have to trade Harden. The only thing we can get is Ben Simmons and 2 role players and 2 picks that probably won't be very good.
We'll see.
So,
what would you give it if you had a B?
I mean,
you can't give an A.
Harden being not as good as we needed him to last year. The hope is, and this is why it's always tough to grade anything this early. The hope is that he was not fully healthy, and then he comes back this year and is significantly better. Obviously, the age is a concern there, but hopefully healthy offseason, throwing fake cakes off boats.
Mm-hmm. Partially fake cakes.
Yeah, partially fake cakes off boats.
We don't know.
Boat real.
Yep.
No way to know.
How do we know it was on a boat?
The boat was white, though. I can tell you that.
Yep.
The hope is that if he plays well this year, then it is an A. If he plays reasonably well this year, then it is an A.
Absolutely.
And so I would give it a B plus. I think like even though Harden wasn't great, I think the trade itself was extremely minimal. A guy that wasn't playing at all, that didn't want to be here, a guy that was really very useful offensively, but totally exploitable defensively, and would get worse in the playoffs presumably. Although Seth's always probably better than I give him credit for. I just can't stand how much of a pushover he is defensively. And Drummond in a way that obviously we've talked about last week, like, well, a very run-of-the-mill backup center that would probably get exploited in the playoffs, even though he was good. And a late first next year, and then a first in 5 years at the time. So I think that's a great. I think it's a great trade. Harden not being good is a little bit separate to me.
Well, it's not separate. He's the player that he traded for.
But yeah,
it's exactly
that's the guy Daryl wanted. As far as like, I would have, we talked about Tyrese Halliburton for a long time. I love Tyrese Halliburton. Would have set them up for like maybe longer success. But I think to get where you want to go peak wise, the hope is that James Harden goes back to the version he was at the beginning of last year. And still can take this team to a championship with him beating Maxey and stuff. So
yeah, I would love to retroactively give it and we had a comment in the YouTube chat that this is hindsight. That's exactly what it is. Like that's why we're grading it now. Like all of these things are hindsight, right? Like we can go back and say what we said, and some of the things we agreed with at the time and some of the things we didn't. But I think you do get judged by how it works out to a certain extent, Yeah.
I think it's also a big deal. A couple other things within that. I think it's a big deal that James Harden said, I want to go to Philadelphia, trade me to Philadelphia, which I think overall lifts the state of the organization as like a future destination for people.
Hopefully.
Obviously it's because of Embiid, but no one good has ever been like, I want to go to Philadelphia, especially Sixers wise. It just never happened. So this is cool. That is a relatively big deal, and I'm happy about it. The other thing about the Simmons thing not working, I say this a lot. It's really, most things don't work, right? Most teams don't win a championship. Daryl's first year, the Sixers were the number 1 seed. I'm not a regular season guy anymore. That's gone. That part of me is dead. But it was working. Like they were the number 1 seed in the East, in a pretty good East. And that was 1 year into Daryl's tenure where he could have gotten more pieces around him. Doc's first year, whatever. But I just think the idea of like things don't work. Like Jokic and Murray hasn't worked.
No. I'm sorry. I completely disagree.
I'm not saying like they're not as good of a fit. Like that's not the same thing. But as far as like the idea that things don't work, like they were the number 1 seed, and most teams don't win a championship. So I think, but things, Jason Tatum and Brown didn't work until it was working last year. Like there's things, what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying, but I don't think it's hindsight for me to say that, that there were people, myself included, who just did not see that pairing ending up in a championship. And I think you were right. Most teams don't end up in a championship, but that pairing was like specifically bad.
For sure. I mean, it was specifically more complicated than those other pairings that I've named because of how unique of a player, strength and weakness wise, Ben Simmons is or was.
Ben Simmons is probably like one of the 5 most overrated basketball players in the history of Philadelphia. Maybe athletes, totally. I hate the hero worship that he got here for trying to like bend the norm of what a basketball player is. The fucking idiot. Like he was a point guard who wouldn't shoot and never got any better shooting and looked at everyone like they were fucking morons because they said he should. It was I
don't think he got hero worship. I think people were always.
But he did. People like sort of identified in a way that was like, well, you think that a lead ball handler needs to be able to score and shoot and things like that? You're a fucking idiot. You're just behind in the times. It's just like, it was a dumb thing and it was obvious and we talked ourselves out of it. It was obvious.
No, I think it was always
crazy.
Obvious he needed to get better as an offensive player. I don't know. There's people have opinions about literally everything. So I don't think that there was a strong contingent of people going, he never needs to shoot. He never needs to improve his in-between game. He never needs to get better around the basket. He never needs to become a better foul shooter. He never needs to seek out more fouls. He's a perfect player, change nothing. I don't think realistic people were saying that. And I definitely don't think that was like a prevailing hero worship thing around Philadelphia, especially as the years went on. I think that only got,
toward the end, I would agree with you, but in the middle of it, maybe is because I felt it more than you. I mean, like I was pretty obviously anti the entire time, and maybe I felt what I was feeling was like an outsized loudness rather than a more people. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's entirely possible. So, one guy who isn't overrated, he is properly rated, is LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
True.
All you have to do is look at Mike's fiance's finger, which has LL Pavorsky jewelry on it. I think my wife has a bunch of LL Pavorsky jewelry, just not the ring. He is the engagement ring aficionado. He is the king of engagement rings. He sits on a throne made of chocolate, free water, and engagement rings. LL Pavorsky,
it's a
the
poorly
original
made throne, but he does it with a good heart.
And when it gets warm out, the chocolate melts. It's very iffy. But he was the original sponsor of the Ricky, has been in business for over 3 decades at the same place, 707 Walnut, and has sold 291 Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners engagement rings. That's no accident. It doesn't happen because we force people to do it. It happens because he has a great product at a great price, and most importantly, he is there to be your partner in getting that product, not to pressure you into anything. Jewelry stores generally, they buzz you in, and then just fucking the salesperson is hawking on you. If that's going to happen, you'd rather it be LL Pavorsky. By the way, by appointment only. He doesn't want you waltzing in. He wants you to make an appointment. They're not going to let you in unless you have an appointment. Make an appointment, 215-627-2252. Don't want to use a phone? Think you're past that? That's fine. Lee at llpavorsky.com or tweet at him at llpavorsky. Always a supporter of our charitable efforts. In fact, a supporter of the Bark in the Park run team once again for Providence Animal Center and Mama T's Community Fridge, LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
Currently racing to grow a mustache to make me feel better and to stick with this DJ. In your fucking face, CJ. LL's growing that thing rapidly. He's taking hair growth. He's taking hair growth hormones, whatever that is, around his upper lip.
Yeah.
Because that's what he is. That's the kind of guy he is. And that's what kind of guy you aren't, CJ.
Wow, this is what no one expected this on a Saturday morning. CJ awful. Might be fired by the end of the pod. Who knows?
We don't know.
Yeah. Next, February 24th, 2022, I give this an A. Willie Cauley-Stein 10-day contract. The fact that he was on the Sixers is amazing to me. We never saw him play really, but it was hilarious that he was on the team.
Yeah, was this during the time when he was like, when he came on here and said, we're signing a buyout guy, you guys aren't going to like it. And then some time went by. I thought it was Derek Favors. Yeah. And then they kind of pivoted and did a Willie Cauley-Stein 10-day. And then it was immediately after this was DeAndre Jordan. Yeah,
and the DeAndre Jordan was the thing that he knew that we wouldn't like.
You think that was that? Yeah. That was it?
Yeah, for sure. Because the DeAndre Jordan thing was supposed to happen earlier. He was supposed to get released earlier. It didn't happen, which is why they signed Willie Cauley-Stein, unsure if the DeAndre thing would happen. So March 3rd, 2022, signed DeAndre Jordan. F. I'm sorry.
Yeah, massive F. Massive F.
Yeah.
Massive F.
Huge F. Wrong again, Daryl. Wrong again. I'm sorry.
Horrendous signing. Just one of the worst ever. To do that. I mean, like, I'm sure there's little things that you have to do all the time to, like, as a person in leadership, to cater to some people that work with you, like, where you got to be like, all right, I don't really want him, but, like, Doc does, and this isn't one of the ones I'm going to go down swinging for. So I'll give him a win here. Happens. It's something you got to do, whether you're in leadership or not. You got to be like, all right, this isn't the one I'm going to push back on. This was the one you should have pushed back on.
Yeah.
This was wrong. Bad. You were wrong to do it. It was wrong from the very beginning. It was obvious that he was horrendous. Now
everyone
he's in Denver.
Said it was wrong.
People keep signing him. So everyone is. I don't know if this is a coaches just like bullying their front office into being like, he's the guy. He sucks. He's really bad. He cannot defend for shit. He's obviously useless as an offensive player. Even as like I just feel like, and this is the Willie Cauley-Stein thing. When you're like 6'10" or above, just being a lob threat is like the bare minimum. Like that isn't hard to do. You're so close to the basket. That's all you have to do. They'll be like, hey, this person sits by the trash can. They're really good at finishing. If you put like trash in there, if you like a napkin falls out, they put it back in. It's like, well, obviously sit right next to the trash. Like anybody could do that. Anybody can sit next to the trash. And so like DeAndre Jordan 6'11", the fact that he can catch lobs, anybody could do that. You make me 6'11" right now. You make me 6'11" right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be worse than DeAndre Jordan.
Wow, what a statement.
Right now. If you made me 6'11" and gave me like an offseason to learn my body and what it's like to be this tall, I wouldn't be worse than DeAndre Jordan.
I'm thinking of like a Mike version of Big where you rent out that apartment and you put video games in it, but also you're on the Sixers.
Yeah. I'm not saying I wouldn't sign myself. I wouldn't play myself.
Right.
I wouldn't be good, but I wouldn't be worse than DeAndre Jordan right now. Wow. When he was in his prime and he's crazy athletic,
yes,
and he was trying, great. Of course, he was a more useful player. But that is gone. He's not that person anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And stop letting coaching staffs or players bully you into thinking that he will. Willie Cauley-Stein is funny because there's just like a parade of backup centers that have been here and should always be here. Every backup center
should stay here.
Should have like a 10 a 10-day contract with the Sixers at any point in life. The fact that like Taj Gibson hasn't been a Sixer is crazy. Mm-hmm. We're gonna get Larry Nance when he's like 39.
Yep.
Like those kinds of like every single they have to come through here. They have to.
So draft night, Sixers draft the BOAT himself, David Roddy, and trade him along with Danny Green to the Memphis Grizzlies for DeAnthony Melton. I have to give this an A-. This is a good trade. I mean, only not an A because I have to watch DeAnthony Melton play, every day. Like he's not an every game guy. I've watched him play, obviously, but it's harder when you're watching him when you're only watching once in a while. But seems like a home run.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great trade. It really is, because I went out on a limb when I ranked David Roddy as high as I did.
Mm-hmm. The BOAT,
and then there was some like further like climbing during like the combine or whatever, and it became like a groundswell, one of those riser types. But still, getting him being that high of a pick was unexpected, and for the Sixers to make the pick was fortuitous, and then for them to trade it right away for another guy that I love, it was a whirlwind adventure for me and my emotions. But I love DeAnthony Melton. He's been one of my guys for such a long time. He's exactly what this team needs. I think they tried to get that guy. It's not exactly similar, but like Jaden Springer is on that path, is like a theoretical DeAnthony Melton guy. Zaire Smith is like a theoretical like guards, like can guard guards physically, I guess is the idea, and not be a zero offense. And DeAnthony Melton, they're just like, they keep trying to, it feels like they've tried to draft these players, different regimes obviously, but it feels like they've tried to draft this kind of player for a long time, and kind of similar to how like the Phillies haven't been a good like hitting development organization, but they have been good at pitching development lately. It's just like, well, let's just trade for this guy when he's already in his prime, rather than drafting him at 19 and being wrong that we picked the wrong one. So this kind of guy they haven't been quite good at. So I'm happy to have DeAnthony here when we already know he's good.
I can feel it in my gut. I wonder how long it's going to go. I'm already at the point where I've stopped actually vocalizing it, but you're at the like the Jaden Springer thing is sort of like the Zaire Smith thing, where you keep saying it and I keep just being like, nope. But then I just give up and let you do it, and then we see what happens. But Jaden Springer would be DeAnthony Melton if he could do any of the things that DeAnthony Melton could do.
Yeah, he's got to grow into it more. He's got to be better. He hasn't gotten better yet. Zaire, man, like guy fucking almost died. Like that's a tough like prospect.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a tough like, okay, well, we didn't factor in him almost dying, so I guess we should have ranked him a little bit lower.
But they were drafting a guy who was like basically playing power forward and center to be like a 2-guard, in the NBA. He had a lot of skill he needed to capture as well, And I agree, like the almost dying thing. I think he probably had very little, room for error in terms of his development, and that was a huge error in his development, that no one could have foreseen.
And had they just drafted him at like 18 or whatever, it would have been like, oh, okay, drafted this guy, didn't work out, but because of the Mikal Bridges trade, it obviously feels way worse.
The Sixers then signed Trevelyan Queen to a 2-year deal. Only thing guaranteed this year is $300,000. So his salary is, it's a 2-year, I think $3.3 million deal, but only thing guaranteed is $300,000. So I don't know. We'll see. I hope he's on the team because I want to play that thing the entire
time. If Daryl doesn't respond to the song, then that is an indication that he's not going to make the team. I think that
it's something. Then they signed Julian Champagny to a two-way contract. I still don't know much about him. Only,
Oh, he was so bad in summer league.
He was bad.
So bad.
Yeah.
He was bad enough to be like, did he sign the contract yet? Can we pull it? Like, is the ink dry? Can we just like wipe it up? spill some water on it or something. Get somebody else in here. I don't know. I don't know how the two ways work as far as like, do you have to eat it? When does it like officially lock in? But I guess they cycle through two ways pretty quick. It's probably, I'm happy to spend Josh Harris's money signing a different guy on a two-way contract.
July 6th, the Sixers signed PJ Tucker to a 3-year, $30 million contract. I'm giving this deal, the player, an A, the deal a D+. So overall, I'm giving it a B to B-. He is perfect, but he is 37. And they will, at some point, the team that has PJ Tucker will wake up one day and PJ Tucker will be his age. And it's really just like a Russian roulette of waiting for that to happen. But I hope it doesn't happen this year, you know.
It feels like it would happen to us.
Yes. Well, almost certainly will. It's just a question as to when it happens. Yeah.
The benefit is, again, this is the kind of $10 million type contract that they could trade. The problem is they don't have like enough picks to attach to it where it would be like, okay, great. That's a salary match when like an old PJ Tucker can go be the Andre Iguodala somewhere, or fucking Udonis Haslem when he doesn't want to play anymore, that kind of thing. The hope is he wanted to play with Harden. He's monitoring his everything. Like the fact that PJ has so often been like small ball 5 for guys, for teams, that gives it a little bit more value for me than just here's a new, more physical Danny Green. Like there's versatility with PJ and a familiarity with Harden, obviously. So I'm hoping that even if he, you know, hopefully this year he is exactly the player that he was last year. That's the hope. If next year he's not quite as good, but at least he like splits the backup center occasionally minutes type of deal. He can hang defensively with like when Embiid's off the court.
Sort of like where Danny Green was. His not the same position, but the same level of effectiveness. Right.
I need one good year before he gets to like last year Danny kind of thing. But yeah, hopefully there's a little bit more you can maneuver him around a little bit, and between him and B-Ball Paul, like the backup center position is not going to be a concern this year. That would be nice. I would love for there not to be the next Willie Cauley-Stein, Cody Zeller coming in here. Like I don't want it. If we can be just B-Ball Paul and PJ Tucker, that would be tremendous. So if that's the case, then yeah, I mean, love the player. I've loved the player for a long time. Deal is a little long. I'll average it out to a B.
The final two deals before the condensing, what's the trade you're calling it? A condenser trade. Something? Yeah, before the condenser trade.
Got a couple days left before I'm proven wrong.
Daniel House, 2 years, $8.5 million. Player valuable, money too much. C+.
Yeah, it's certainly not like a you know, he was good with Utah towards the end of the year, but he was also on a series of 10-day contracts with Utah, basically. And so the idea that you had to give up a mid-level on him seems a little high. It's one of those things where, like, if you're in an auction draft and it's still early and you're like, oh, I got this guy for like $5, but then somebody like just as good later in the draft when nobody has money left went for $1, and you're like, oh, well, I wish I didn't spend those $5 on it. But like, you're not unhappy to have them, but it just doesn't feel like a great deal. But again, I think if the PJ and the house stuff was kind of has to be factored in, the extremely legal, very cool, full tampering that they were doing with Harden,
and the Harden
then
deal.
I think it has to be all factored in together. And I'm if the house deal and the Tucker deal was a prerequisite for Harden to take less money, which it seems like it was, then I'm happy about it. I think you give it all told. You give it. The team got markedly better from year to year. And so I would give it all told, the whole thing, like an A or A-.
The house deal, as you suggested on the pod, was a thank you from James Harden for Daniel House taking the sex bullet in in the bubble. And
it's
then
a classic taking the sex bullet. You see it all the time in sports.
The final deal, James Harden signs a 2-year, second-year player option, $68.6 million contract. This deal gets a B+ from me. It was absolutely fine, but I am not giving it an A because I do think there is a possibility there is a sneaky handshake deal to give him a fucking terrible contract after this year. So I'm going to give him a B+ on it.
The only way that they give him a terrible contract, which is certainly on the table, is if he plays really well, though.
He could play pretty well, maybe get a terrible deal. I don't know.
He won't
We'll
get
see.
a terrible if he plays exactly as he played last year. If they don't get past the second round of the playoffs and he's like kind of disappears a little bit more, I don't think that that's gonna happen. They can't.
Okay.
They couldn't. Giving him a year
can't,
older,
he
they couldn't do it. He would have to be better. I'm not saying that they're gonna give him a. I'm not ruling out the idea that he's. I'm not ruling out the idea that he's worse or just the same, or that they give him a bad contract after this year. But it can't be both. It can't be both. It will be one or the other. That's how it has to be.
We'll see. Well, before we go, I did mention we will make available the Fly the Process trip as soon as Joe from Fans of Philly firms up every detail he needs to firm up. So that will be, we're doing a pod Wednesday, right, CJ? Is that what our schedule has? I believe Wednesday. So we'll do that Wednesday night. And
CJ's terrified of popping on. I fucking scared. He's shaking and quaking his little boots.
CJ, do you have any response to this as you quake in your tiny boots?
He doesn't.
I don't. I think it's
Look at the shit-eating grin. He thinks it's hilarious.
I think it's therapeutic for Mike to get it all out and.
Oh, because I'm in the therapy chair. I'm in the same exact position.
Yeah.
I don't do therapy into a microphone. I do wear the headphones. No, right. I don't. Okay.
Wow.
Whatever.
What a fucking.
What a bold kid. I can't look at that face and be mad at him. Come on. Come on.
We will. We'll talk to you Wednesday night. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah. You know, like.